Okay, so I hope everyone had a lovely Easter and is ready to start off the of April with a great bang with Oskar. So Oskar is a life purpose and productivity coach, and he has created his company Next Level Life, where he helps ambitious young people to put their ideas into action. And since graduating from IE in 2019, Oskar has worked for um, one of the fastest growing CBD companies, which is called 1087 Brands. And he's also worked as a chief marketing officer in iCasa. And today, Oskar is working on a cannabis startup that he created in July last year. And this is now generating around 5 figures per month, so he's doing great. So we're very excited to have Oskar here today and learn about how to create a startup and what we should keep in mind when creating a startup. So today is a very interactive session. If you have any questions, feel free to unmute your mics and or to write something in the chat box. Feel free to just speak your mind. So yeah, take it away, Oskar.
Thanks so much, Charlene. I'm super excited to be here and super excited to have the 7 people in this room so far, and maybe some more will come. So thanks, so great introduction. Hi, everybody. Hopefully you can hear me. Love to see if, and there I'll respond to those questions at the end, and you'll see I have a little presentation prepared, so don't worry, I'll go through all of that. So I'm just going to share my screen to start. And what today is about is what I want to show you how to create an online business. Because as we all did in the last year, we went online, right? And as most people probably in this room, we're all entrepreneurial. And so what I want to share a little bit is how to go online in your own business or get business ideas and how to scale them up using the online method. So just some ground rules, some introduction and netiquette, which is the etiquette for the net. First of all, love to have to be able to see you if possible. So if you can, turn your camera on. That way we know that there are actually people behind the screens that are watching and being active. Because this is a bit more than just a talk. By the end of this session, I hope that you'll have a clear idea about what you want to start and how you can actually do it and what steps to take to start generating revenue and actually start creating something. So it's not just going to be me talking all the time. There will be some thinking. And of course, the more you involve yourself, the more you learn. Because as we all know, when you have a lecturer coming from, especially online now, that is just talking towards you, it's very one-way communication, and it just goes in through one ear and goes out the other. So the more you involve yourself, the better you're going to learn. And of course, feel free to ask any questions by unmuting yourself or simply putting in the chat if you have any questions, which I can answer afterwards. So, but first, one thing I love to do, and if you're not a fan of mindfulness, you can skip this part, but since it's in the middle of the day now, we've probably been doing a ton of things since the morning, and I just want us to take a moment to check in with ourselves so that we can all be present at this moment, okay? So I just ask you to be more present. How we're going to do it is to find a comfortable position, to sit back in your chair, and we're just going to take 3 deep breaths together, okay? Feel free to follow along, and this will just make you be more attentive and bring you to the present moment. So you can feel free to close your eyes, and once you're comfortable, we're going to take 3 deep breaths, breathing in through your nose, and then breathing out through your mouth, and breathing in a second time through your nose, then breathing out through your mouth, and one last time breathing in through your nose, and again breathing out through your mouth. And when you feel ready, you can open your eyes. And now we're really here, we're really present. So let's jump into it. What I want to go over in this next coming hour, we might not use all the time as I want to spend some time at the end for questions as well, is first of all, learning how to choose a business or learning what is a business that you would be super passionate about. And then also understanding how to generate revenue online and learning the essential skills for making any business work well. So let's do the poll. Charlene, I want to know who here wants to create their own business. We have a poll on Zoom and you're going to see a pop-up that should be there now. Do we have, I'm mostly curious, are the people here, do you want to start a business? Do you have one? Or is everybody here just wants to be their own employee? So far, most people have said yes. And I think that's pretty much it. Awesome, so 100% yes right now in terms of wanting to create your own business, which is super cool. And then just to put this question in your mind, why do you want to start this business? Love to see some answers in the chat. Just let me know, why do you want to start a business? What's the reason behind it? Is it so that you can be your own boss, so that you have more free time or less free time? Because usually when you're starting, you're dedicating all of it. Is it to be able to work on your own schedule? Please type in the chat so we can see what kind of purpose or drives are in this room. More money, freedom, cool. Social entrepreneurship, awesome. Hi, Jordy, welcome. We're asking just the question we just started of, if you want to create your own business, why do you want to create it? And we're typing in the chat. Money as well, says Mare. Yeah, money is usually a big factor in terms of being able to spend your time as you wish, because what does money give you ultimately? Money is not the end goal, because it allows you to do something, right? Awesome. Ability to be my own boss. Sweet. Thanks for sharing, everybody. But now I'd love to know, what kind of business are you looking to start? Or do you have already? So just to see what kind of entrepreneurs we have, we already know that Mare said she wants to be a social entrepreneur. But for everybody else, because maybe you find somebody here that would work on a similar project as you. So we're going to use this super cool tool that I love called Menti. Basically, if you have your phone, just scan this QR code, and there will be a question there that says, what kind of business do you want to create? And I'm going to share the screen of where the results are. And by the way, if you're already on your phone, then you can just go to menti.com and put in the code that's below, which is 81946872. And here are the results. What kind of business do you want to create? Ooh la la. Social businesses, for profit and social, cosmetics, crypto, tech, an app. Anything else? You can submit multiple answers. I, for one, can't usually stick to one answer, so that's why I encourage you to get all your ideas out there. That's cool. I'm also quite into crypto at the moment, but I wouldn't want to start a business around it. Not right now, at least. Sustainability, love that. That's super important. And I'm just going to take a picture of this because it's actually super beautiful to see what people want to create with my phone. Awesome. Sweet. Super entrepreneurial group. I love it. Thanks so much, everybody, for participating. I'll share that slide afterwards with everybody who wants. So, brief introduction, and to give you the story and background of why I wanted to give this workshop. When I finished university at the mid of 2019, I graduated from IU University. I think there are some guys in here as well that were there with me with a Bachelor of Psychology. And I was so determined to do my own thing that basically I was looking online how to make money for like a whole year. I felt like I was just scrolling YouTube and seeing all the different ways that I could start my own business. I had been doing coaching for quite a while. So I took some training and some courses while in university on that, which is what one of my businesses now. And yeah, after university, but I was still so clueless though. That was the problem. I had no idea how to start business, where to look, and I would just spend my days like researching and understanding. I didn't have any guidance, which is the most difficult part. So then one of the strategies that I tried was for my first business that I'm still doing and I really enjoy is my coaching business, which is basically helping young people to get their ideas down on paper and implement them as an action. And then I focused on life purpose as well, which is, you can see on this page, this picture. This is the model I love to use called Ikigai, which is a person's reason for being. This was the last workshop that I gave in 2020. It was in March. It was the last physical one, so I had no idea how I would go do it afterwards. And so I had to completely shift everything. Basically, the business wasn't making that much money. It was because I was living at my parents' house, so I didn't have a need to make a lot, but it wasn't even sustaining me. And that was and when everything went online, it made it even more difficult, or at least I had to shift my mindset. And now I've done a ton of the online workshops and online trainings, so I enjoyed it a lot. But until that point, I had no idea how to start and how to grow, most importantly. So then in the mid of 2020, I found myself a business coach, and this changed my whole perspective. Basically, this girl I had been following on social media, who was helping other coaches grow their business. I reached out to her, and then I enrolled in her program, and she completely shifted my mind in terms of how to generate revenue in a service-based business, and also how to scale it and start generating revenue. Because oftentimes we have awesome ideas and we just want to make the ideas happen, right? We have like, for social entrepreneurship, you want to make such a massive impact, and then the money is secondary, right? That's how I was feeling too. But if you want it to grow, then if it's going to be an actual business, it needs to have some kind of cash inflow, because otherwise it's not going to be able to grow. It's just going to be the people that are there and working voluntarily, which is totally fine. I also work with an NGO where we do that. But if you want to be a business and grow and impact as many people as possible, then what I took away from this was learn from somebody who is where you want to be. This coach that I enrolled with, she was doing online coaching for the past few years, and she was generating around, I think now she's doing like 5 million per year. And she had this program for new coaches to help them start their coaching business online, which was super cool. And the takeaway from that was, if you know what you want to do, and in a sec, we'll learn how to identify what you want to do. Basically, go to the person who has already done what you want to do. And then the second business, which started in the mid of 2020 as well, was this cannabis startup called 1807 Blends. And this was really cool because this guy here, he's called Juan, he's Argentinian. He came to me and he was saying he's working with this cannabis company, and they were only doing wholesale business, B2B. And basically he said, I want to start a B2C business, and we'll call it 1807 Blends. And I want somebody to help me build it up and start generating revenue. And as I was doing business coaching and was very fascinated by sales and I'm great at marketing, we started it together. And now it's, up until now, it was from end of July to until now, it's done over 75,000 in revenue in euros. And yeah, it's been an awesome journey because I got to learn a lot in terms of how to market myself online and market a brand which has products. So now I've had experience both in the service industry, so selling a service, and selling a actual physical product, which is what 1807 blends, which is CBD oils, so cannabis-based oils, with no THC, so it doesn't get you high. Sorry for the people who wanted to get high. And it has a lot of health benefits though, such as reducing inflammation, and yeah, you can look up the other health benefits of CBD another time. But for this business, we had to test so many different things. Like we tested hiring people on commission to generate sales and talk to stores where they lived. And that worked okay in the beginning, but we learned that since CBD is kind of a premium product still, it's very new in the market, this didn't work as well as we wanted. So then we went to blogs and influencers, and this worked a lot better in terms of reaching more people who might be interested in the product. And for e-commerce, it's quite different than doing selling a service-based business. And yeah, what I've learned from these two is what I want to share with you today, and the different models and steps that you can take to grow your own online business. And yes, these are bags of weed that we're holding. There's about 1 kilo in each. It's pretty funny when you visit the warehouse that we had, and there's tons of weed lying around. But it doesn't get you high. Remember that. It's normal, legal. It's in Switzerland, by the way. Yeah. So what's the purpose of a business? Let's get engaged a little bit. Put in the chat, what do you think is the purpose of a business? Is it to make money? Is it to create an impact? What is a business supposed to do? Impact, employ people. Yeah, that's true. Doesn't necessarily need to employ people. It could just be yourself too. Fulfill a need, solve a problem. Oh, well, I love those answers. Yeah, generate value. You guys know what my next slide is already, I think. Serve a mission. That's super cool. Give something to society. 100%, man. Very similar to providing value. So basically what everybody was saying, the core of sales or business is to either solve a pain or add to joy, and which is ultimately asking yourself, what problem are you solving as a business? And underlying that, how can you provide more value than your competition so that people come to you rather than the other guys? And so if you're starting a business, this is the question to ask yourself, like, what problem are you ultimately solving? How are you getting people from A, which is where they have a pain or they're not satisfied with something, and take them to Z, where they're more satisfied and they're living a better life? This is what business does. They provide the value in this way, and being able to take a customer from A to B is the most straightforward part of how a business works. And to give you some kind of direction in terms of how to shape a business, I'm going to give you one exercise here, which is called the business statement. And it goes like this. First, you say, I or my business does a certain thing through an active verb. So maybe you help or you empower people, your ideal client. And then to what outcome? So for myself, for me, on my service business, on my coaching, I help entrepreneurial individuals lift their ideas off the ground by providing business and mental productivity through a purpose-oriented action plan. And the great thing about this statement, and if you have it written down, is that it brings clarity, and not only for yourself, but to other people. So if this is super clear to you, then you can communicate it a lot better. And if you put it on all your social media channels, for example, if you run a personal brand, then people can understand exactly what you do and what outcome you get people to. So for E3, for example, that E3 helps students who are entrepreneurial to come to better ideas about entrepreneurship or learn to create a startup. Would you say that's right, Mare?
There was people coming back.
Oh, no worries. So yeah, I'm just teasing. But yeah, knowing this statement is quite crucial, and because it helps you to create a lot more focus. Because oftentimes we want to help everybody, like especially in coaching, or if you're doing a work with a person, like a therapist as well. They say they can help everybody, but you know that there are some people that you can help a lot better. Like I'm sure E3 could help a ton of people outside of ESADE, but your main focus is ESADE students, because you know exactly what they want and how they are, and you're not going to go help the university across the road because maybe they don't even speak English, but you could help them technically if you just employed Spanish-speaking speakers. So think about who your ideal client is when creating this this statement, and like not the client that's in the group of people that like everybody else that you could potentially serve. The one that's ideal, the one that can pay for your service, the one that you love working with because he or she is so motivated. And this basically helps to create that focus. As with focus, creates momentum, and when you have a straight line, you know where you want to go as well. And then once you know where you want to go and what impact you want to create, I want to show you how to make profit online, because an important thing with business is that it kind of needs cash to operate, right? So you need to be able to drive revenue in your business. And I have this really cool model. It's by a guy called Tony Robbins. If you don't know Tony Robbins, he's awesome. He's a coach as well. But he does a lot of business coaching and massive events with thousands of people. And he has this model. I know it's probably a bit small on your screens right now, which is why I wrote the points in big. And what the funnel is, basically you can optimize each of these 5 processes to drive more value and more cash into your business by going through each of them. So by looking at these 5 steps of business, you can understand how to create generate more revenue ultimately. So the first one is to understand where are your leads coming from and how can you drive more traffic through your sales process. So how can you get more people interested in your service or product? From my example, from myself and my business, it's doing events like this, for example. Like now I'm being exposed to 7 potential clients or 7
He's stuck, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me text him.
Okay, he's gone. Oh, he's back.
He's back. Don't worry. All's
Yay!
Sorry about that, everyone.
Don't worry.
Hopefully you can still hear me.
Yes, we can.
Yeah.
Sorry that happened.
No worries.
Not as clear as I was hoping, but
You're
it happened.
a seller. It's good.
Cool. So we were here, right? In terms of driving revenue to your business.
Yeah.
Awesome. So the first step, which I was just talking about, is to increase your leads, or know where your potential clients are coming from. And I don't know if you heard, but for my service business, it was that doing events like this, or also reaching out to people online through LinkedIn or Instagram. This helps to generate more leads as potential clients to my business. And this is something that you can optimize, you can test. And here in the little font, you can see what the potential examples are. So you can test writing on blogs, exposing your website to other people. doing advertisement, doing media or PR outreach, calling others, or affiliate marketing. There's tons of ways to grow your leads and potential traffic that can be driven to your business. Then the second step, once you've gotten a bunch of people, is to increase the effectiveness of your sales process. So basically, once you probably have this huge group of people, once you've started to find where your ideal clients are, but not all of them will be ready to buy, right? So some of them will be, some of them won't, and some will be on the edge. And the more effective your sales process is, the more likely they are to buy. So there are some ways that you can do this, such as doing sales conversations in person or on the phone. And it depends on which business, of course, or otherwise doing automated versus online sales processes. And each of these depend on the different types of businesses. So for my service one, my coaching, I do a lot of talking one-on-one with people, learning what they need, what they could use help with. But then for the cannabis business, we have an online store, and there people can buy directly. So there's no human interaction except maybe even emailing for customer service. And then basically after that, you need to increase your sales conversion. So being able to fine tune that to get more clients, making sure that, understanding why people aren't coming on board or why people are buying. What does the client really want? Are you solving their needs in an effective way? How can you solve that in a more effective way? And which naturally leads to step 4, which is increasing your transaction value or providing more value in general. Basically, this could be looking like increasing your price or providing another product or service on top of the primary one so that you can increase the average transaction value. And there's tons of ways to do it. Then the 5th one is through the follow-up, which is where you give more value and you can even in return receive more money and revenue. And this depends also on which business you are in. So to give you an example, the way I add more value in my coaching is through doing a free goal setting session usually. And then people from that are like, yeah, that's super cool. I want to continue working with you. Or if otherwise they're like, no, but maybe I have this friend. And there's always tiny things to tweak and improve on. And then for the cannabis business, since it's an online store, what we're trying out right now, we're working on flavors for CBD oils. It's an oil that you take orally that, or you can put on your skin as well. Basically, yeah, we have the basic flavor right now, which is just plant. And a lot of people don't like it. So we're trying to change it up and use some flavoring, which is hopefully will solve a bigger problem, which will increase the amount of customers that we get. But this is a bunch of strategies, and now you have a funnel in terms of how to generate a lot of clients and get them to make a purchase. But when you're building your own thing, a lot of the times we need motivation. We need to be able to be clear on what we want. And business, like most goals, is 80% psychology and 20% strategy. I gave you some strategy now, and I want to show you how to optimize the psychology and your way of working so that you can maintain that motivation and make sure that you follow the goals that you have so you know how to grow and work towards it. Because in the beginning, we all have these massive ideas. I have massive ideas every day. Like I wanted to start another business with a friend about how to do better online workshops. And I don't know if I'm going to do that because it would take a lot more time, and doing 4 or 5 things at the same time spreads your energy, right? And that's why the reason that business, like most goals, is 80% psychology is because otherwise you might not have enough motivation. So this is a super cool model for knowing how to stay motivated and be clear in terms of what you want. It's called the Limitless model. It's by a guy called Jim Quick. Maybe you've heard of him. He's big in personal development. And he says you should combine these 3 M's in order to have a limitless mind. And what he defines as limitless mind is basically being able to continuously learn and continuously improve on yourself and follow your goals. So he combines mindset, motivation, and methods. And these are the 3 things to have a limitless mind. Mindsets, what this means is basically understanding that you're not fixed in terms of your abilities and that you can see that there's always a way to figure something out. Has anybody heard of the growth mindset versus fixed mindset model? Raise your hand if you have. Cool. So I got some psychologist enthusiasts here, which is very cool. It's growth mindset was turned by a professor called Carol Dweck. She's a researcher, and she wrote a really good book called Mindset. And what she talks about is that if you think that your abilities or your skills are fixed, like you can only get this good at math, for example, and no matter what you can't get better. If that's the thoughts or the belief that you have, then it will remain the same. Because she did an experiment where she tested if people thought that she asked the people, the participants, if they thought more that their skills were fixed or if they could improve with hard work and continuous improvement. And she saw that the people who thought that they could improve themselves just through putting in more effort and putting in the time, they did improve over the long term significantly more than the ones that thought they were fixed. So it's simply having a belief that you can improve massively increases your chances and your actual ability to create that forward momentum. Then we go to motivation, which Jim Quick, he talks about a few different aspects in terms of how to get motivation. And the main one is through purpose and through being super clear about your why of your purpose. So how do you define your purpose of your business? That's why I asked you that question before, and why and what you want to be able to do with it. Because even though this is a short presentation, at least hopefully I've gotten you to start to think about that as what is that freedom that money ultimately bring you? Just what I would want to do in a longer session is we would dive deeper into why do you want to have that freedom? What does that really give you? And then making it more visual and more emotional, as when you tie an emotional goal to something that you want, then you become a lot more driven than just saying, yes, I want more freedom, right? And of course, there's also ways of learning what is your life purpose, as this is something that can be super difficult, especially for students, because if anybody's about to graduate soon, there's no ultimate way of knowing what you're supposed to do in life, but there are ways of being more confident in choosing something that you feel comfortable with. And then the third M is methods, and that's basically what I was talking about before, which is knowing how to go from A to Z, and that's either through choosing someone to mentor you or to coach you, to help that's been in your steps and can take you through the same process, or through learning about specific tools or being part of a community. And I know E3 does this a lot already, and they're providing some really cool methods. And yeah, when you have these 3 things, then you really start to get the ball rolling and working on your goals more effectively in general. This doesn't only apply to business. So overall, how much time do we have left? Yeah, we're pretty good on time. This way we'll have more time for questions, but I wanted to show you how business can look like and how it can operate, especially online. And hopefully you understand a bit better now how to increase profits and to drive sales, because this is important for business, as cash often equals oxygen in a business if you want to be for profit. And then to emphasize the importance of psychology in business, since most of us aren't taught this, especially if we're in a business school, but being able to create good habits and generate energy is vital for sustaining motivation and drive over the long term. which is what I love to talk about and love to do. So thank you everybody so much until this point. I'd love to hear some feedback, some thoughts. How was this experience for you? And what are your next steps? Maybe you've written the business statement already, but what will you do to make sure that you start implementing it? Type in the chat or feel free to unmute yourself. I'd love to hear what's going to happen next. Mare said, how do you organize? What do you mean by that, Mare?
No, I was meaning like you said that you have a lot of things to do, and more or less, how do you organize your time to be able to cope with everything that you do and to maybe add another project, you know?
Yeah.
Sometimes when you want to start something, you're saying, no, but I just don't have the time, right? And I want to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, that's a difficult one. When you see a fun opportunity, you're like, I really want to do that, but I'm already doing so many things. It does get difficult. And
but what if those things are like kind of an anchor in a way that you wanna get rid of them, but maybe it's like not the right thing to do, and yeah, more or less.
What did you mean an anchor? Sorry.
Yeah, sometimes you're like, no, but I just can't get rid of like not doing this. And that maybe it's what blocks you into creating maybe your online business or and so on. And you know, it's the next big thing, but you just maybe, okay, this is like not allowing me to do this.
So like you feel like you might be stuck in one thing, and yeah, you want to potentially move. Well, if you're in that position, yeah, it's learning how to say no and basically practicing what you do repeatedly becomes part of your identity ultimately. And in terms of just organization in general, yeah, it's knowing what your priorities are and knowing what your why is, and then also understanding your own values. Like if you value freedom, for example, like you were saying, then does this new project give in the long term give you that? And how does it do that? And what other things do you value that might be important? Like, does it help it work in sustainability or versus this other thing? It's about, yeah, valuing and weighing the different opportunities, right?
Yeah, I do have another question. I've written it in the chat as well. What platforms do you think are the best to start maybe your online business? Is it Shopify or what do you recommend?
So you mean specifically for e-commerce?
Yeah, for example, talking about e-commerce, yes.
Because I want to demystify one thing that my business coach, she demystified for me.
Okay.
It's like you don't need a website to start a business at all. Because when I started my coaching business and got my own coach, the method she was teaching was through DMing people. That's how I would get sales and how I would generate more leads. And so from the messaging people, I would get them on a call and then get them as a client. Like it wasn't that smooth, but that's how it happened. And there was no website there at all. So I think it depends on the business a lot in terms of what you want. But if you're talking about e-commerce in general, yeah, you probably need a website or a place where people can buy. And what I've heard and what we went for in the cannabis startup is we just did a classic WordPress, because apparently WordPress, you can optimize it a lot better than Shopify, as Shopify is predefined. So like it's a drag and drop model, which is great for starting. But in the long term, apparently, you can't optimize it as much as WordPress, since WordPress, you can go in and you can really tweak the code in the back end to make it faster and more appearable in Google search. That was the reason we went with WordPress. And we had a guy that's working on the website, and he's constantly optimizing it. Whereas in Shopify, he was saying that he wouldn't be able to do it as well. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Awesome. So what are your next steps? Yeah, go for it.
Sorry. I would like for the people that do not know yet what ideas they have, what do you suggest people look at to keep your mind open to new startup ideas?
I would say, what are you, I mean, this is super cliche, but what are you passionate about? Oftentimes you have this passion or something that you really find interesting, and the thing that's stopping you is fear of starting it or taking the first step. And that's where I'm saying that psychology is like the biggest thing here, because the fear might be that, oh, what if I try this and it doesn't work? Or what if I try this and people don't think it's cool? And you say, fuck it. I mean, it's the thing that you got to practice, just taking small steps to make those small achievements to get the ball rolling. So like maybe one idea, let's say, if I'm interested in starting a business in crypto, I saw somebody wanted to do a crypto business, but I have no idea where I would start. Like, I'm just fascinated about it. And then you could ask yourself, what would I want to improve in this industry? Like in the crypto industry, it's super new. So you can probably think of quite a few things. Maybe for me, it would be that I have one, it's just off the top of my head, I have one platform where I can do everything: trade, buy, find NFTs, buy, or create apps. And maybe that's something that you want to work on. That's an idea right there. And then from that point, once you have the idea, go do some research in terms of what are other people doing, how do they start this kind of adventure, and ultimately, I think it has to come from passion, though, because as we were saying, if it doesn't, then it's not going to be as sustainable for the long term, and it will work out a lot better. And yeah, if it's aligned with your values and purpose, then it works even better. Yeah. Does that make sense, Shalin?
Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
Awesome. Any other questions or general thoughts in terms of your next steps, or how was this experience for you? As you went quite fast in the end.
I really liked how dynamic it was, and that you included like Menti and then a poll on Zoom, and yeah, so it was quite dynamic. I loved it. You asked a lot of questions, so yeah, it was hard to get distracted.
Thanks, Maria. Yeah, something I'm still working on is not to go too fast, though, because sometimes I just want to get through all the different slides or different value, and sometimes I need to take a step to breathe. So that's why I want to delete the space as well, because I know that there might still be some questions floating around in your head. And yeah, yeah.
I think Andrew like asked some questions at the beginning. He just wrote them there. So I think like the first one was, well, there was somebody that asked like, what is social entrepreneurship? Yeah, Andrew asked for that. What is social entrepreneurship?
I think you defined it. Oh, you were trying to define it pretty well, Mare. You might even have a better idea because you're working in it. But in my experience, social entrepreneurship is an entrepreneurship or in a business geared towards people-oriented entrepreneurship, I would say. Like organizations that help other entrepreneurs build their businesses, like E3, or yeah, working towards better society, I guess.
And I think also people, when they hear about social entrepreneurship, they're like, okay, well, I'm not going to make any money out of that. So I'm not going to pursue that. Maybe like we need to demystify that as well. I like the word that you said that.
Yeah, what would you say to those people?
I don't know, you can create impact and still be profitable. I don't think why like that shouldn't be a reason. So yeah.
Yeah.
Just pursue
sure.
it, and if you want to help, like, yeah, go help. It doesn't mean that you're not gonna earn any money.
one thing also that I want to mention there is that you don't need to be leaps and bounds ahead of another person in terms of business to be able to provide value to the people who are just starting. When you're doing a business and you're solving a problem, you just need to be the next step ahead in order to help that person get to that step, right? So now I've been able to generate revenue and a decent amount of income through coaching. And so I can share that at least with the person who wants to start a coaching business, or with a person who's starting an e-commerce cannabis business. We've now done this for 6-7 months. I can at least give them some pointers and steps in terms of how to generate leads and what are the best practices that we went through, right? So yeah, just to emphasize, you don't need to be Warren Buffett to teach the beginner. You can be the middle person teaching the beginner as well. Because also, if you are the Warren Buffett of investing in terms of your business, then it's not going to be super relatable to the guy that just wants to invest $1,000 because he's got billions and he doesn't care about investing $1,000 anymore because he's doing millions every day. So there needs to be these middle people too, in order to help everybody progress bit by bit. And that's why the point about taking small steps is also super important, because we want to go to the end. Like, we want to be able to get to that super successful person, be like, yeah, he's generating so much revenue, or he's living an awesome life. And you haven't seen those small steps that each person has gone through. And of course, I know I'm talking about this, but I also really want that, of course, because I see it every day. And so it's good to keep in mind and to remind yourself that it does take some time, and it does go just through small steps. Sometimes there are big steps, but consistency is the key. Hope that makes sense.
Lots. Thank you very much for your answer, Oskar.
Awesome. You have another question, Mare?
No, not really.
Cool. If anybody else has, please feel free to unmute yourself the last 5 minutes. And if not, I'm just gonna go to the last slide, which is to say thank you so much for being here. And feel free to type your questions in the chat while I explain. If you want to have a conversation or a chat, and if anybody's in Valencia, please message me, because I want to meet some people here, and I don't know that many people yet. I'm in Valencia at the moment. But just hit me up on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, TikTok, whatever you want. I'm on all social media platforms except for Clubhouse, unfortunately, because I don't use iPhone. And yeah, if you want to have a conversation or a business idea assessment chat for 30 minutes, then please feel free to message me saying that you came from E3. And that way I know where you came from, and we can start a conversation. And otherwise, yeah, I love to get to know more people and just connect with everybody who's entrepreneurial, because I love this environment. I love people who have this type of mindset, as it's super super motivating in general to be around other people, as the people who are around you affect you. And as you might have heard, you're the 5 people you surround yourself with, you become the average of the 5 people you surround yourself with. So yeah, thank you so much, everybody. Thank you, Mare and Charlene, for organizing it. And thank you, Anna, Jade, Laya, for coming. Hope you enjoyed. Appreciate you all.
Thank you so much, Oskar. It was such a pleasure having you. And I think everyone can say here today that definitely we've learned a lot from you. And hopefully this has given some people the tools that they need to take a step further in creating their startup.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for your time and insights.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jade.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.